Hello, everybody. This is your week 6 lecture. It is mercifully short. I promise I won't even touch 20 minutes, let alone 30. And there are a few reasons for that. One of which is I want your primary focus to be on the textbook readings this week, and as well as our librarian's tour video of the research guide that she and I put together for this class. So those are your main priorities this week, aside from the graded activity and obviously this lecture. Okay, so um, I suspect that you will feel a pretty big shift this week compared to the previous weeks. And what that is a shift from theory to practice. So we're going to get a lot more practical, hands-on the best we can in a completely online course. But like I've mentioned before, those of you who are kind of getting sick of theory or just getting kind of over it, too much of a thing, we're pulling back from that and shifting into more practical aspects of this course. Speaking of practical aspects of this course, it's definitely time to review the course calendar for EDU 280 and to review the list of key assignment deadlines at the top of the key assignments area of the Blackboard page. This course is sort of backloaded in terms of the major assignments. So in order to give you all the time that you need to learn all the concepts that you need in order to complete these activities. So that's the positive side of it. The drawback is that it's going to be your responsibility to manage your time and make sure none of these heavily weighted key assignments fall through the cracks. If you check your email every day, read the course announcements, listen to these lectures, and mark all the deadlines in a calendar or planner, you should be fine. I've even built sort of a progress monitoring week into the schedule to force you for a grade to tell me where you're at with each of the key assignments. So we should be good with that. And I already said it when I was on the title slide. I want your focus to be on the suggested, more than a suggested, required textbook readings and the research guide website, which you will see soon. Okay, one of the main topics of this week is how to create a print-rich classroom environment, used interchangeably with literacy-rich. They're not the exact same thing though, because when I think print-rich environment, I think letters and numbers visible in the classroom setting, very literally print-rich. But when I think literacy-rich environment, that's not just print. Remember, literacy is speech then print. So when I think of a literacy-rich environment, I think of anything that would cause literacy development, and that does include speaking and listening. So that's just a little point of distinction to think about. Obviously, the first thing most of us think about when we are asked to consider a print-rich environment is books, right? Does the classroom have books in it? But it's more than that. Where are the books in your classroom environment? How are they presented? I've shared some videos this week, and the people in the videos are so sweet and enthusiastic. I just love it. But one thing in terms of book placement is that if you put the books up on a shelf as you would see in a typical library where they're just kind of stacked, smashed together onto a shelf, that's going to be less appealing to a child than if you can display the books with their cover facing out. That's one thing to consider. And if you notice, a good library will have a mix, and they'll have collections and features where these books are more visible immediately to the person who walks by. The other thing with little human beings, can they reach these books? Have you placed them according to their ability to reach or to your ability to reach? It's important that the children have the opportunity to move through the room, choose a book, and go somewhere and sit down and read it. And that leads me to the just general philosophy of book handling. Um, there's sort of an old school or more traditional um, authoritarian philosophy that the children should not touch the books in the classroom without permission or supervision or ever. Um, I would challenge you to rethink that if you're one of those people. I know, especially if you're working on a budget, it's nerve-wracking for young children to handle books because you're worried about torn pages. One thing to consider is what's developmentally appropriate for the age of the child. Obviously, a toddler room is going to be handled differently than a fours room. So yeah, I'll leave it at that so I don't turn this into a 20-minute talk. Ah, yes, print-rich environment, not just books, right? What's on the walls of the classroom? Are you using text labels to label items in your classroom? Again, I'm going to refer you to the videos. You're going to see some really fun, enthusiastic people showing off their classroom spaces. Check it out. You're definitely going to want to have some inspiration for this week's assignment, which I'll talk about in a minute here. One thing I do want to say or to ask is how much is too much with the number of words in a space or the number of labels in a space? And I don't even have an answer to this. It's just something I consider myself. Can you have too much print in a classroom space? Can it get to a point where it just all kind of washes out because there's too much of it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I suspect that the answer is yes, there can be too much, and so you should be very intentional with where you place these. Something to think about. Book selection. Um, I want to refer you to the key assignment area, the literature resource file key assignment folder, and the instructions there for the criteria for the books I want you to select for that assignment. It makes sense because the assumption of that assignment is that you're collecting books that you would eventually purchase for a classroom. So just to touch on a few of those categories: high quality books, award winning, beautifully illustrated, culturally valuable, diverse and inclusive, and not just are the children depicted in the books different races. I want it to be more deeply diverse and inclusive than that. And one thing that Miss Lauren will talk about in her video is the Own Voices movement, which means diversity in authors and illustrators, not just diversity in the cast of characters in a children's book. Keep an eye out for those interactive and dialogic children's books. They're fantastic for circle time. Don't forget about nonfiction. There are amazing nonfiction children's picture books out there. These beautiful I particularly love historical and biographies. And, you know, I think it's important to focus on newer books because that ties into the higher chances that the authorship will be diverse. Yes, of course, include classics, but be picky about them. Really look at them through a critical lens and make good decisions about that. Okay, so this is really the masterpiece of the week, and it's not really even mine, and I'm okay with that. Um, the EDU 280 Research Guide. I provided sort of a framework of what I wanted and sent that to Lauren P., our amazing librarian at Coastal, and she turned it into a dedicated website just for our class. So that's pretty cool. It is a treasure map for you all. I cannot wait for you to see it. Obviously, in a video, you can't click on this link right now, but I always upload the PowerPoint right next to the video. So go into that PowerPoint. I also have these links just embedded in our weekly folder. I have them all over the place in Blackboard. You can't miss it. There are two different links. One is to the actual website, and one is to a short video tour. You really don't want to miss that. Um, in a normal seated setting, we would all go to the library and have a class with Lauren. We cannot do that this semester. I hate it, but that's just what we're dealing with. But this video is an awesome substitute. Activity centers. We have a whole key assignment dedicated to a preschool literacy center. You'll be working on those. Hopefully you've started thinking about them, checked out the key assignment folder in the tour video. I just want to say, I know you have to do activity centers in some of your other EDU classes. What's the difference between a literacy center and an activity center? I would just say that a literacy center is any activity center that promotes literacy development, right? So you can make pretty much any activity center a literacy center if you incorporate elements that promote literacy development. So instead of me yammering on about this forever, I'm just going to review you to the Literacy Center key assignment folder, and also the textbooks do a great job with this content. And then dramatic play. When I was new to early childhood ed and to literacy studies, I thought that dramatic play was literally like there had to be a stage and there had to be some sort of theatrical element. Shocker, I was being too literal. That's not what dramatic play is. Most of you probably already know this, but it's any time a child engages in any sort of play that models something they've observed in an adult. So you could have the post office, telephone, grocery store. This is all dramatic play. And most dramatic play in some way promotes literacy development. Remember, literacy development includes speaking and listening. So if you think about that, any sort of activity where the children are speaking and listening, right, that's promoting literacy. The real, the key is to eventually tie that to print literacy, both receptive and expressive. All right, I made it. 13 minutes. Reminders for week 6. You know what I'm going to do? After I finish this presentation, I'm just going to point out a couple things on Blackboard while I have your attention. Don't forget about those textbook reading assignments. It looks like a lot, but most of the bullet points are just 1 or 2 pages. And then there are a couple entire chapters I would like for you to read. They're reads compared to more theoretical stuff, I want to say. But I've highlighted those, I've bolded those in the reading list, so those are definitely the priorities. Check out the multimedia links. Oh, that was one thing I wanted to talk about. There's this really cool video with this very enthusiastic young lady talking about print-rich environments at home and in the classroom. And she gets into leveled reading boxes and baskets. I might speak to that a little later. You don't have to have leveled readers in your classroom necessarily, especially with the younger ages. Once they get into kindergarten and moving on, I see more of an argument in favor of leveled reading activities, but they can be quite problematic. Maybe I'll put a pin in that and talk about that later. Don't forget to look at the EDU 280 research guide and Lauren's tour video. And then this week's homework, I'm not going to give you the prompt here because I want you to go in and click on it and read it yourself. Read it carefully. I'm asking you to write a rich, multisensory, detailed, creative description of your dream classroom space in terms of literacy. And so I've set it up as a discussion forum because I broke up with VoiceThread, if you haven't heard. And so you need to create a thread, to see other people's posts and then go ahead and comment on two of your classmates' posts. This is such a fun activity. I started doing it last year, and I guarantee you it will be really easy to think of things to say to your classmates because what they will have written will be so inspiring to you. I really think you'll enjoy it. I do have a word count recommended range. Check that out when you click on the assignment, okay? And please note, all three posts are due by Sunday night. If you post something after Sunday night, I may read it, your classmates may read it, but it is not eligible to receive a score. Okay? All right. That's all I've got for that. But what I would love to do is just quickly show you how Blackboard's looking lately. So this is your week 6 folder. You just scroll down to week 6. And you'll see the lecture slides, which is the document I've been reading off of, but right below that, the video will pop up. I'll add that. Here is your assignment for the week. Note that the deadline is right here, due Sunday the 21st, 11:59 p.m. This is a direct link to this amazing class research guide. Enjoy. All 5 key assignments are listed here, and Lauren has provided resources to support each of those activities. I'll continue referring back to this over and over again for the remainder of the semester. I'm proud of this. It's like a new baby. And then you don't want to miss this adorable video, and also very practical and helpful, but you'll see what I mean. She just does such great work. Textbook readings for the week. These are the full chapters right here, chapter 8 and chapter 16. Hopefully it makes sense to you why I've assigned those entire chapters for our theme this week. I've posted just a couple articles and some videos. Like I told you, you're going to really love this lady. She's the best. All right, I really cannot wait to see what you come up with for your dream classrooms. And you know where to find me if you need me. Have a great day.